I want to start with Tank Dell. 11 targets, 6 grabs, 114 yards through the air, and 2 touchdowns. Real or mirage, Tank Dell?
Look at the release.
There's your separation.
Great route.
Stutter and go. Gets by clean.
That is unbelievable.
Maybe the greatest catch I've ever seen.
I want to play a game of real or mirage, and by this I mean, hey, do you think this is the real deal? You think it's a one-game blip? You know, how and why can this guy sustain, or how and why do you think this guy might fall off? Okay, so I want to start with Tank Dell. 11 targets, 6 grabs, 114 yards through the air, and 2 touchdowns. Real or mirage, Tank Dell?
Real-ish, right? Like, I think there's some potential for him to continue to have these games. He's actually been very feast or famine all year. Like, this is just his receiving yard line all season, right? 3 for 34 in week 1, 7 for 72 and a touchdown, 5 for 145 and a touchdown, 1 for 16, 357, 3 for 16, 6 for 114 and 2 touchdowns this past week. So definitely his high water mark. I believe it was his highest target share all season long last week. Yeah, I mean, he looks like a really, really good NFL player. I think his reception perception profile shows you that, one, he can beat man coverage. He's a really good route runner. He was a good route runner in college. He showed he could beat press coverage despite being a smaller player in his collegiate reception perception sample, which I think was, again, a really, really good sign for Tank Dell. He's a guy that can fly. He can win downfield. You know, post routes and corner routes, I think, are probably going to be his specialty. And when you have a guy like CJ Stroud who plays with high key anticipation and is fearless dropping hole shots down the field, it's just a perfect, you can see why CJ Stroud went to the Texans front office, or apparently, like, after they took him second overall, we're like, hey, do me a solid. If you're going to take a receiver for me, go ahead and take this guy, Tank Dell, because, like, I bet you I can hit him on those corner routes that he runs extremely well. So, and that is a lot of what we saw against Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a big-time comeback win. So I think it's real-ish. He's going to have these type of games. I think he will definitely have games where, he catches 1 pass or 3 for 16 or something like that. I think it's going to be a little feast or famine with Tank Dell just because of the archetype of receiver that he is. But still a guy that they can move around the formation and get a lot of mismatches with.
By the way, Tank Dell, it makes a lot of sense that the Houston Texans, again, I'm just saying there's this connective, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I know it's like a completely national game where you can go coast to coast, but it is funny, don't you think, that like a lot of these teams pick guys from local areas, you know? There's that connective tissue there, and certainly a guy from the University of Houston in Tank Dell makes a lot of sense playing for the Houston Texans. So I think that makes a lot of sense. All right, you said this is a guy that can win deep post quarters, a couple of routes that you highlighted there. What are some limitations to Tank Dell's game? Why do you feel like, again, that this is not just a full on let's just get it going, but there might be some slow weeks mixed in here too?
I think some of like, is he going to be a ball winner on like outside the number passes? Like if he has to run a deep go route, anytime you're a smaller player and like you're not an elite A tier route runner, like Steph Diggs or like even Devontae Smith, some of the struggles with press coverage and like stacking defenders like that, I'm always going to say like, hey, it's going to be a little bit feast or famine. I mean, I don't want to say that he's a bad player or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying.
No.
But just like, full on pedal to the ground. Like I still think Nico Collins is a more valuable receiver in that offense because he could play that X receiver position. That doesn't mean that like he's going to always, I mean, even last week, like there's been some, and this is just like jealousy stuff. I think there's been some like fantasy, whoa, man, I'm really panicked about Nico Collins. 50 yards and a touchdown. Like you're fine. Getting that out of Nico Collins, you're fine. Relax. Exactly. But I still think that X receiver position is really critical, but like the big plays, the lid lifting stuff that can be Tank Dell. If he continues to improve and is as good against press coverage as he was in college in the NFL, then I think I'm saying he's like a true starting, like he's a starting receiver, but like more of a guy that's you're going to feed a ton of volume to on a weekly basis instead of, like I said, a lot of these like 11 to 4 target games.